A History of Southern Missouri and Northern Arkansas by William Monks, published in 1907. General Price's Raid. Upon my return from Batesville, Arkansas in the spring of 1864, I commenced recruiting for the 16th Missouri Cavalry Volunteers, the most of the regiment being composed of men who had been in the state service. The required number to form the regiment was soon procured, and the regiment was organized, electing for their colonel John Mahan. The author was elected captain of Company K. The regiment was at once placed in active service, being quartered at Springfield, Missouri, up to the time of General Price's raid. Then the regiment was divided, one half of it being sent in pursuit of Price. The other half, which was known as the 2nd Battalion, was placed under my command and held at Springfield, it being expected that General Price would change his line of march and attack the city. As soon as the fact was ascertained that Price was marching north and west of Springfield, orders were made to send every available man that could be spared from the post. Among the troops sent out was the author's battalion. We were ordered on a forced march in the direction of Mutiny for the purpose of cutting off Price's retreat. We reached Mutiny about 10 o'clock at night, where they had a strong Federal garrison. 2,000 rebels of Price's command had just marched across the road before we reached the garrison and gone into camp in sight of the town. Strong pickets were thrown out on each side. About daylight, the Federal forces broke camp and moved on the rebel camp, soon coming in sight of the rebel forces, and fire was opened on both sides. The rebels commenced retreating, the Federals pursuing, and continuous firing and fighting was kept up until we came near the Arkansas line. A number of rebel prisoners were taken, besides some of their commissary wagons falling into the possession of the Federals. The Federal commander then ordered a retreat back to Springfield. Price's forces had turned up all the railroads as they passed over them, cutting off all supplies, and the soldiers and prisoners had been placed on quarter rations. The prisoners, numbering about 350, were ordered to be taken to Rolla, Missouri. After the first day's march from Springfield, they met a Federal train carrying commissaries to Springfield and other western points. The men being then on quarter rations, the colonel took possession of some of the commissaries and issued them to the soldiers and prisoners, for which he was afterward arrested and court-martialed. On reaching Lebanon, Missouri, I saw the quartermaster haul in about 5 or 6 loads of shucked corn, which was distributed to the soldiers and prisoners. I well remember that while they were distributing the corn to the prisoners, a general rush, which appeared to be almost uncontrollable, was made around the wagon. The corn was thrown out on the ground among them. They picked it up in their arms and at once retired to their campfires so that they might parch and eat it. After leaving Lebanon, the prisoners were all placed in charge of the author. He remembers one rebel prisoner who had on a fine dress coat with a bullet hole right in the center of the back, and the soldiers had to be watched closely to prevent them from shooting him, as they believed it to be a coat that had been taken from the body of some Union man after he had been shot. On reaching Rolla, the author turned over all the prisoners to the commander of the post, and they were sent directly to Rock Island, there to be held as prisoners until such time as they might be exchanged. I again returned to Springfield and reported to my regiment. A short time thereafter, the loyal men of the counties of Howell, Dent, Texas, Phelps, Ozark, and Douglas in Missouri, and of Fulton, Izard, and Independence counties in Arkansas, with a number of the officers and soldiers, including the commander at Rolla, petitioned General Schofield, who was then in command of the Western District, to have the author detached from his regiment, then at Springfield, and sent south to Rolla to some convenient place and given command of a post, as it was almost impossible to send commissaries through from Raleigh to Springfield on what was known as the Wire Road on account of the roving bands of rebels who had complete control of the country, a short distance from the military post.